stack. I have a respectful question with regard to your poster and your title. Can you hear me? Okay, why have you got the Statue of Liberty behind your face? And then you have a title which says, is liberty an Islamic value? Okay, with that picture, we're talking about psychology of films. You did. You talked about how pictures attract what people want. Is this what we wanted? Have you thought before you made the poster? Does that not reflect Professor Tariq supported by the Statue of Liberty, America? I haven't finished. Respectfully.
Professor Tariq is nothing to do with the poster.
That's why I'm asking you the question, because I'm one of the organizers. And when you talk about respect of other people's religion, I looked at the title of the topic tonight and I said, should it be, is liberty a Christian value? Because are they respecting the Muslims for what we are? Question finished.
Thank you. I take from Dr. Mahini first.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. My name is Mahiri from Angkatan Belia Islam Malaysia, Muslim Youth Islamic Movement. I'm affiliated with IIUM actually, an economist by profession. Well, that's a point I want to relate to this. Sister is now talking about the Statue of Liberty. In my case, when I see the Statue of Liberty, what I can relate with it is how the global financial crisis, how the global economic crisis was actually made in US scenario. And then I want to relate with whatever you have delivered excellently, by the way. I'm very much enlightened by it. The question is, now, in the wake of the recession in the US, they're calling for more rules, governance mechanism, yeah, as you said. And this I see as confirming to what we have said. We eventually will call for rules to come into the picture and solve our problems. But for instance, you have this Dodd bill. They're trying to come up with a bill to reform the banking structure mechanism in the US. So now, but the problem is, what I have in mind is, it started off with this, the crisis itself started with the liberty of making profits. They feel like they own the world. We can actually make profits out of everything. And when you let this mind to liberate economically, then chances are there will come a time when people start to circumvent, avoid whatever regulations that you have made, whatever reforms, whatever rules, new rules to solve past problems. So when will this stop? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now I will be determining to give a senior gentleman over here or the lady over there. I probably take the senior gentleman here and then you and then you.
All right, thank you. Please do.
Okay? Yeah.
It was a very inspiring talk, very exciting. As our Sunnah Rasulullah, Iqra, yeah, learning. But towards the end of the day, towards the end of this evening, whether your lecture is just another academic exercise, confined to this room or confined to this inside.
Thank you.
What Rasulullah did, he told, he taught, and then important. That's why the Sahaba, the Tabi'in, for 1,400 years, they managed to conquer 3/4 of the world. But now, with all the knowledge, the previous knowledge that we have, and new knowledge that we acquire, we remain, the Muslim world remain static.
Thank you. Yeah. No, the lady back there.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. My name is Nani and I'm a financial analyst. I've been thinking about this lately and I hope you could share your thoughts about this. And I'm quite intrigued when you talk about the relationship between rules and the protection of freedom, right? However, in the formulation of rules, inevitably you will have to prefer or choose one interpretation over another interpretation, as a result of which you may be seen to endorse one interpretation and suppressing and stifling the diversity of views. This may not be a problem when, when the solution is pretty obvious and you can take the lowest common denominator without infringing the rights of others. However, there are other problems which are more intricate and more complex than that. So the question is, how do you reconcile between having rules to protect freedom at the same time without necessarily endorsing one interpretation resulting in the suppression of the diversity of views, which is very much a blessing in Islam? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, that's it for time being.
So, about the pastor, you may have to say something about the choice. I didn't, I just saw it when I arrived, by the way. You're right, I think that there are symbols and it might mean something. I don't have a big problem with this. But I think that we have to be cautious. I prefer the things that are neutral. By the way, I don't like photos to be put. So I'm asking, even in my books and all this, I've been struggling with all the publishers. Please don't put the photos. And as you have seen, the two last books from Oxford University Press, they go for this because this is a culture. They like photos to be put, and I would like something which is more neutral. But once again, when we have someone who is coming to give a lecture, this is a decision and this has to be explained. Now, do we have to speak about is freedom or liberty a Christian value, or to think about what could be missing? I think that every single community should ask this question from within. It's a critical thinking that we need to understand. So we say yes, then we try to understand, because we might think that still we have our Christians, or even when we think about what is happening in Israel and with people being silent, and some people from the Jewish tradition, we should ask exactly the same. Is liberty a Jewish concept, a Jewish value? Or even in some secular society today, what is happening is problematic in what is said and done. So every one of us, from within, we have to do this. And I wouldn't say that it's good when we start talking about it, say, okay, but the others should do more than what we have to do. We have a lot to do on this. We have a lot to do on freedom in our Muslim majority countries. It is said, for people who are just saying that I was banned for 6 years from the States. By the way, it would have been impossible to go in front of this statue there. But still, 6 Muslim majority countries, it's very difficult it's impossible for me to go, and there is a problem of freedom, and there is a problem of democratization and rules and rule of law. So I would say that we have to talk about this, that this is one level. But I would say as well that what we were talking about today, about our concept of human being, our understanding of freedom, even the dimension of this deep freedom and helping us to liberate ourselves from alienation, a superficial attraction by the world culture. These are questions that are so important. Look, if we don't come today, if we are not serious about arts and producing alternative arts and culture with ethics, Islamic respecting our principles, we are going to be lost because it's very powerful. It is very powerful. The news are less powerful than a movie. A movie is very powerful, spreading around, hints and perceptions and music. Music is the world language of youth today. If we just keep silent and say music is haram and culture is not essential, we are going to lose our kids. We need to come with something which is an alternative and dignified. Well, for example, now Yusuf Islam, Cat Stevens is coming by and singing with universal lyrics, saying exactly our values, but for everyone. He's right. This is the way forward. This is what we have to do. We are not talking to marginal people. The great majority of the people, they feel that there is something wrong in the world today. Who is going to come with ethics? Who is going to come with value? Who is going to come with an alternative? If we are not going to deal with this, we are not going to come with this understanding. So this is also in the name of freedom. This has to do with the spiritual freedom that we want. That we are liberating these people from alienation. From this alienation and this perception that they think that they are free, but they are following the footsteps of a major trend, mainstream trend that is making money. They are making money with emotion. We want to make human beings with spirituality. This is what we want. We want to produce, to educate, to nurture human beings with spirituality, and not only people able to buy and being object of the market. This is something which is part of our responsibility. About the governments and global economy and what is happening today with rules that are put to solve the problem, and I had no time because it's the starting point of our discussion here is liberty and Islamic value. In the book, the two books, in fact, Radical Reform, and the other one, The Quest for Meaning, I'm trying to tackle this issue and also to connect freedom with power. An economy has to do with power as well. And I think that we have to deal with this. We have to deal with the economic power and the way we speak about the free market and regulations that are put today very often to protect the rich people and not the poor people. This is the global world now. It's a free market with regulations protecting the rich and impoverishing the poor people. This is what we are dealing with. So this is why, for us, it's important to understand that we should not come with simplistic answer by saying, you know what, we have an Islamic finance, we have Islamic economy, which is the alternative. No, we have means, we have ends and purposes and objectives. We don't have an alternative model. That's not true. No Muslim economist could come now and give us an alternative model. It's too complex. It's too complex. It's very difficult. So we have means, we have objectives. We know what we want to achieve. We still have to find the ways with creativity, with involvement, and not only with the skills of the Muslims, because many non-Muslim economists are coming with very creative ideas that we can use as long as it's not conflicting with our principles. We should be more open to human creativity, because this was the way the Prophet ﷺ, and even when he was taking the way they were going to battle, the way the strategies, he was listening. The best idea he was taking it, and the hadith about that wisdom is the last property of the believer, and he is the first to take it wherever he finds it. You are saying something which is important about implementation. And I want just to say something about it. I'm used now to travel around the world and to come, and the rooms are full of people coming to listen. It's everywhere the same. I can tell you it's hundreds of people, thousands of people are coming. Two things should be said. The first thing is numbers do not matter. I'm not impressed by a number. And if I come here, as I'm always saying, it might be that 1, 2, 3 are going to change their life and think about something to be done. And at the end, ask yourself, lectures today could be fashion and trendy. We go, we listen, we fly for 1 hour, and when we land in our life again tomorrow, and we carry on. And this is why I think that what you are saying is quite important. How do we transform? How do we change this and implementation? So I'm coming here to share views and ideas with you, but it's also your responsibility. Stop to be passive spectators. Stop to be passive, listeners of talks. At the end, I'm always saying something that I heard from someone who told me that once. I repeat this because this is something that was said to my father once. He came to give a lecture and someone said, oh, you are always talking. During the last 20 years you have been talking and talking and talking and nothing is changing. So my father, rahimahullah, looked at him and said, that's right, that's true. For 20 years you have been listening and doing nothing. So you are here to listen. So at the end we can just blame the other, you because you listen, me because I talk, and so what? I think that is not the way. The way is really for you to be able to listen and then to implement and to, as much as you can and to, I wrote a book called Radical Reform and I got criticism coming from people saying, oh, you are challenging the scholars. I said, no, I have full respect for the scholars. These are not the scholars that I'm challenging. I'm challenging the community. The community is blaming the scholars and sitting down and saying, oh, they don't come with the right answers. It might be that they don't get with the right answers because you don't get the right questions. Because you come with very simplistic questions with, oh yes, how do we do this? And simply, look, the world is complex. You have skills and expertise in so many fields. So come with these questions. Help the scholars to get at the level that you want. At the end, you will have the scholars you deserve. Because if you are passive, they are going to follow. The scholars are following the communities very often when it comes to fiqh and legal tradition. Of course, because they are trying to get the answers. So you have to come with something which is the most sophisticated way to be involved in the discussion. And the last point which is important about implementation. This, what I said right now is critical. And it could appear that I'm pessimistic, but that's not true. In fact, if you look at the last 30 years, if you look at what happened in this country, if you look at what is happening in the West, if you look at what is happening in Muslim majority countries, yes, we have problems. There is still a long way to go. But I can tell you that the awareness, that the struggle on the ground, that the Muslims are being, and the young, you know who are the people who are coming back to practicing their religion more in the West, for example. They are not the disenfranchised people, they are the students, the more educated. They are learning and coming back. So let us be positive. Let us be optimistic by saying, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. The first word of the book is, everything is possible, remain positive, tawakkal ala Allah. If He wants, anything could happen. So don't be pessimist, don't be passive and project onto the world something which is a bad perception. You can do it, you can make it, even yourself, your own self. Remember this, some are coming tonight, they're not happy with themselves. They may be not praying the right way, or not praying at all. They not be fasting. Ramadan is coming. Think about it. Change your life. Change your life. No one is going to do it on your behalf. This is a personal responsibility. You are alone, but with Him everything is possible. And rely on the people you love. Rely on the people you love. And this is something which is also part of the whole process of this spiritual transformation. About what you said, we are the heart of the question. Exactly this. How do we decide? What is the best solution for now and for the future? When we have to keep this balance between protecting freedom and getting the right rules. This is why, from within, as Muslims, when we speak, for example, about applied ethics, Islamic ethics, What do we have to do? In many of the fields that we are talking about, we need to get the objectives. What do we want to achieve? What are the objectives? Not to be obsessed with the rules first, but the objectives first. And you know, I want to tell you something with this diversity, even among Muslims. If you take the Quran, you know, one of my shuyukh in Egypt, I asked him to go through critical issues where the scholars were not agreeing. I wanted to know why. And we went through 62 specific issues where the scholars were not agreeing. So you take the text and you understand why they don't agree. You have this option, is to take the text or to take the context, and you can see differences in approaches. But you can take the other way around, is to look at the ends. And you will see that the scholars, when you come from here, they agree much more on what we want to achieve than on interpretation. So through here, you can unite. From here, you start by diversity. And there is something which is important. You want to work with Muslims? Work for unity, not for uniformity. And unity is accepted diversity. But then you have objectives. So this is where we need and apply Islamic ethics in the field. What do we want to achieve? And then we discuss some of the rules. We are not going to agree on everything. But this is exactly the heart of the discussion. The heart of the discussion is to ask ourselves, what do we want to achieve? What are the principles that are the higher principles? And you will see that's not true, that we don't share so much with many of the trends. For example, what I'm trying to do now with the book, with the 7 case studies that I have in the book about women, ecology and economy, education, medical sciences, cultures and arts, environment, is to have scholars coming from the West, coming from the East, scholars of the text, scholars from the context, and to work together in teams where they try to get the objectives right and to try to think about which kind of alternatives we can provide. So it's not easy. It's the very heart of an ethical question. But as Muslims, at least, we need to come with a clearer understanding of what are al-maqasid al-Islamiyya, al-daruriyya. What do we want to achieve first? What is so important? In economy, for example, we need, the starting point is an economy serving human beings and not human beings serving the economy. We want to protect the poor people. There are basic rights. What I said today is quite important. Basic rights are not disputable. Any economic system producing poverty and poor people dying every day out of starvation, this is simply not acceptable. We know that this is not Islam, that we cannot accept it. So let us think from that angle, I would say from the ends and the purposes instead of from the rules, because the rules sometimes are misleading us. Wallahu a'lam wa a'la wa ahkam.
I think due to the interest of time, we have to stop the question and answer session. Probably give back to the chairperson.
I'm sure all of us agree that it has been a most fruitful and enriching session, and coming at the beginning of the week, it has given us much food for thought, at least for the rest of the week. I'd now like to invite the Rector of the International Islamic University of Malaysia, the Honorable Professor Dato' Sri Dr. Shain Arabi Aidid, to present a token of appreciation to our invited speaker, Professor Tariq Ramadan. Chairman of the Islamic Renaissance Front, will present a token of appreciation to our invited speaker. On behalf of the Dean and Management of ISAC, as well as the organizers, I'd like to extend a sincere thank you to all those who have made